your attention, please? Thank you so much. Oh, I didn't even get a picture. Actually, I think you blocked that picture. That's probably for the best. My name is Eric Connor, and hello. The one person who's like, I love some of you. I love some of you. I love my wife and a few others. And my love is also easily bought, so the night is young. And one bit of housekeeping. We're actually live streaming this right now, courtesy of a state-of-the-art cell phone. I believe it's a flip phone, so we know the video quality is going to be good. Here's a request for all of you folks who are maybe young or young at heart. Go into the Facebook group for Promise Life Book, and you can share the live stream, and thus it will go to the entire universe. Maybe. But we only know if we try. So I don't mind if you look down on your phones. I won't yell at you for texting right now or checking your Facebook. If you would be so kind, go to the Facebook group for the Promised Life book and share the live stream. And thus,
get it out!
before Facebook, while we still have Facebook, let us all do this before we all cancel our accounts. So thank you for doing that. I actually wanted to bring someone up before we bring the man of honor up, and that's actually Albert Hernandez from Family Promise of the Verdugos. A large chunk of the proceeds from tonight are going to go to the Family Promise. It's a wonderful organization. So, Albert, if you'd be so kind, come on down. Round of applause.
Hi, everyone. As Eric mentioned, my name is Albert Hernandez. I serve as the Executive Director of Family Promise of the Verdugos. Family Promise is a wonderful organization that's been serving the Burbank and neighboring communities for about 8 years now. What we do is we help homeless families with children by providing 90 days of shelter. And these are families that are fleeing domestic violence. These are families who probably just lost their home. They were renting a home, and maybe the owner of that home was foreclosed, their property. So these families are first-time homeless families. They're scared. They're uncertain how they became homeless. And with the support of Family Promise and with 27 congregations here in town, including Temple Emmanuel, these families are able to get back into permanent housing within 90 days. We're not sending these families back to another shelter or transitional housing. We're really giving them the tools and resources to get back on their feet and become stable, to live a stable life and be contributing members of this community. So a big shout out and thank you from the families that we've served. Rabbi, thank you for your support today, this evening. It means so much, and let's keep housing families.
I had to remind Albert of his own fundraiser, by the way.
So Family Promise is having their 4th annual gala this Saturday at the Rose Bowl Stadium in Pasadena. We're raising funds to continue to serve families. Family Promise has just expanded services. We're now serving up to 14 households on any given day. And this fundraiser is very important. It's going to be a fun time. It includes a VIP tour of the stadium, a dinner buffet, and just networking and hanging out with people who really believe in ending homelessness. That's truly what Saturday is about. It is about raising funds, but let's get together, let's break bread together this Saturday at the Rose Bowl and raise funds so we can help more families overcome homelessness. So thank you, Eric.
Of course. Allow me to say, as a Trojan, that might be the only reason to go to the Rose Bowl, except for, of course, the actual Rose Bowl, which UCLA usually doesn't even have to worry about. Yes, I know. Half of you might be very angry at me. That's cool. It's good. It's good to have a little anger. That's what the Promised Life's all about, right? Dividing a crowd. So, to sum up John Carrier in a few words is complicated, because he is not your ordinary rabbi. He is not your ordinary man. And that is, and this is a word I don't throw around much, that is what's so fabulous about him. As someone who grew up in Delaware, went to temple, an Orthodox temple there, the idea that my rabbi would wear cowboy boots, very foreign to me. I think he would have thrown out both hips if he tried. The idea that I would go see any number of horror films with my rabbi, also a foreign idea, also probably would have thrown out both hips. The fact that my rabbi would be younger than me, I guess that's a product of age. I know I don't look my age, but I am actually over 25. And John is a little bit over 25, but less so than me. The fact that my rabbi was not born Jewish, and yet has taught me so much about this religion. He's taught me so much about being a mensch. And if you do not know the word mensch, this is another reason to buy the book. You've got to learn what a mensch is. But if you know John, you definitely know what a mensch is. You know someone who, if you even look around, you realize this is literally every walk of life you can find, not only in Burbank, but Southern California. We're talking the Rotary Club. We're talking our temple, Emmanuel, who's representing Strong. Who else we have here? We have some members of Leadership Burbank. And by the way, Leadership Burbank normally does not take someone who was a student 1 year and puts them on the board the next. But there's not that many John Carriers out there. And he was one of the few that, as they said, he was ready. He came in a leader, he came out a leader, he will always be a leader. But even more so than a leader, he's also a listener. He's someone that no matter what the issue may be, spiritual, personal, financial, issues of what horror movie to rent on Netflix, he's there for you and he always has the answer. I don't even know if it's the right answer because I always feel better after I speak with him because it feels like, well, if it's not the right answer, it's worth a try. And I think even early in this book, you can see, normally when you hear this is a book written by a rabbi called The Promised Life, your eyes might glaze over a touch. Some of you who are not, let's say, Jewish might be like, okay, I'm good. I got my religion. I've been rocking Catholicism for 40 years, 50 years, 70 years. Not sure what this is going to teach me, but then right off the bat, I'll just read a little bit and then we'll bring up the man himself. Who you are. We don't know each other, but I hope that's about to change. If you found this book, I'm guessing you have some computer savvy and the wherewithal to own an electronic device on which to read it. Or you bought it tonight, and remember, some of it goes to the family promise of the Verdugos, and he will sign the book, he will even speak at whatever event, including your book clubs, but that's beside the point. You're not a trash-picking landfill gleaner in Calcutta. No judgment of those who are. You're not reading this in a mosquito-netted bed in sub-Saharan Africa, beginning to feel the fever. As I turn my page, what kind of fever, you may ask? Is it the fever for more cowbell? No. Fever set in a near victim of the Ebola virus. God forbid. You're more likely a fully enfranchised citizen of a wealthy nation, most likely the U.S., and you have, statistically speaking, all of your adult teeth. By the way, no judgment if you don't. This book can be read by those with all their teeth or some. If at least you have 3, then you're good to go. You may not know what your next meal is, so many choices, but you know with certainty that there will be one. There and other factors put you in the top 1% of the most fortunate human beings on earth. And yet, you suffer. And if for some reason you don't suffer, it even talks about that. It says, without using these terms, Baruch Hashem, meaning with God's blessing, be well, and maybe give this book to someone who is suffering, someone who could learn from this. But my guess is we all can learn from this because for all of us who know John, we know that we have learned from him, and we will continue to learn from him, and we're going to learn from him tonight. So let's bring up the man of the hour, author, Rabbi.
Thank you, Eric. Can I sit down? Is that okay?
Yeah, please, we're sitting.
Your show. All right.
Are you guys the first of the class?
We're also doing an old school Carson style, namely, except we can't smoke in here, I don't think. Too much wood.
I get to be in.
Yours. So, John.
I just want to do one thing before we get
Please.
started. Okay, we're gonna play a couple of games tonight. Just keep this fun. I feel like I should like a book here. I should have a tweed jacket with patches on the elbows, maybe a pipe, and a condescending glare. But so instead, I want to have fun. So what I want you to do for me is, as softly as you can, you're gonna in a minute when I give you the signal, you're gonna start clapping, right? And I want you to clap like if you were at a golf course, they'd be like clap louder. So as softly as you can, just do like a little clap. Now I want you to clap exactly twice as loud as that. Now I want you to clap twice as loud as that. Now I want you to clap twice as loud as that. Again, double it. Again, double it. Let's give it up for Connor. Now, like just about everything in this book, I did not invent that. That actually came from an author named Seth Godin, who's had a great influence on me. And that's a metaphor, which is a word I learned right in the book. It's a metaphor.
A term never used until this book.
Almost nothing in this book that I didn't get from somebody else. Right? Whether it was somebody who was kind to me when I needed it, whether it was a teacher of mine, whether it's from some of my fellow students who are here, whether it's some of my students who aren't here, whether it's a helping hand, support in the right way, grant funding, all sorts of everything that I put in this book and everything that I have and everything that I am came from someplace else. And what I'm most grateful about tonight is that this crowd does indeed represent so many different walks of my life. I couldn't be more grateful for the opportunity that Burbank Temple Emmanuel has given me. So let's hear for Burbank Temple Emmanuel. We met Albert. We'll clap more for Albert later. I want to give a shout out to Carol Karansky, who's in many ways one of my leadership rabbis of the Jewish Federation. Thank you for being here. My good friend and once and future mayor, Bob Frutos. Gary Gusso and Karen Volpe. Thank you so much about how to be a citizen of a place that you love, and just more people that I could name. I'll name them later. Everybody leaves. I'm sitting corner. But anyway, thank you, Eric, for a great introduction. I'm moved.
He's so moved he's drinking. That's a sign of being emotionally engaged. We're actually just going to watch him pour that very large glass. So actually, even before we talk about the book, one thing that's let's just say unusual about your backstory is how you came to Judaism. I was thinking maybe you can talk about that for a moment before we start talking about the book.
No.
Fair enough. Next question.
I'm just saying that because it's all in the book, and it's like somebody asked me that question. I think I did last week at a teaching, and it took up the entire lecture. It is such a long story. If I can try to do it in 30 seconds,
I'll sign it. All right, go.
So what I grew up with, people that I love and people that I honor, that thing that they had never really stuck with me. I dated a Jewish girl in college, and then one thing led to another. We started a Jewish family, and then when my son started coming home and asking questions, after we were married, after we had kids, I thought, well, just to be like a competent father, I want to be able to answer those questions, and so I started studying. And when I started studying, about the age of 24, 25, I found something that I fell in love with, right? And I fell in love with the people. I fell in love with the system of thought, and I can't say it any other way. It felt more true to me, like not judging anything else. It felt more true and real to me than anything I'd experienced before. And I went into it with big questions, right? And so many places that I went said, hey, well, we have an answer. No, we have the answer for your big question, and only one. And you start asking questions like, and I'm just relating the experience of so many of my students who are going through the 18 and stuff like that. And they love the fact that you can ask questions. And what I found in Judaism was almost never the answer. There's usually a host of answers, and it's all debated in the Talmud. And the thing about the Talmud is like this book that we hold slightly less in reverence than the Torah. And it's arguments, right? And it not only gives you the most common way to light the menorah, but but then it gives you 3 other opinions. And the thing is, we could have discarded all of those opinions when it was written 1,500 years ago, but we didn't. Debate isn't just accepted; it's canon. Right? And so that's what I found. A place that didn't give me the answers, but I sure like the vocabulary for asking questions. And I've been on that journey since.
All right, now that was technically more than 30 seconds. I think it was a good answer.
Good night, everybody.
I think backstory fulfilled. Although he's from Texas and he spent time in Maryland and then he was in Minnesota and became a rabbinical student and now is our rabbi. And is on top of that now, of course, a published author. So what led you to this book? Why'd you write it now as opposed to, I don't know, a few years back?
I started a process. There's a mentor of mine named Amy Landino. And she's a YouTube creator. I started making YouTube videos as a way of teaching Torah in a slightly different way. And I learned a lot from her. And then a couple years ago, she wrote a book about what she does, right? And so she said, this is a way that I can condense a lot of my knowledge and my personality into one place so that people can learn a lot from me very quickly. And she introduced me to a guy named Kerry Overbrunner, who is an author and a publisher and coaches authors. And he taught me how to sit down and plan a book, which makes it way easier to write a book, and then the hard work of publishing a book, and then the most work of all is marketing a book. And so I just keep getting these gifts from mentors of mine. And about, I think, right around high holidays, I was like, I need to do that. I need to put my heart and soul, my story, and the best Torah I have to teach in one vessel. And that way, I hope I can change some lives, right? And because here's the thing, that book's not about converting to Judaism. I don't, I recommend it, but I'll say that it's about taking things that are in Judaism that are available to everyone to solve problems that all kinds of people have, whether they're Jewish, whether they're not Jewish. And that's what I wanted to put together, just to say, here, I don't know if this is for you, but I wrote it just in case it is.
One thing I like in the book, and I don't remember which passage it quite was, but you basically said, having been a bored person myself and talking to other bored people, which isn't exactly quoting the Talmud or quoting the Old Testament. And so one thing about this I think that is so special is it's not just about Torah. It's really not just about Judaism. I mean, so much of this feels like it's pulled from just the 40-some-odd years, or I'm sorry, 25-some-odd years. Young author, of course, writing YA novels.
Some are odder than others.
Yeah, this is a YA novel, actually, young adult novel. It's going to be the next Twilight.
There's pictures you can color.
But that so much of this feels like it wasn't just taken from you as the rabbi, but you as John Carrier, and your experiences basically on this planet and the people you've met along the way.
Well, one of the most valuable lessons I've learned being the rabbi at Burbank Temple Emmanuel. I came out of rabbinical school scared to death that I was going to be a good enough rabbi for the congregation. I felt like I had to dress the part. Like my whole last year of rabbinical school, I wore a suit and tie every day, just so that Scott could back me up on that. Just so that when I went to interviews, I wouldn't look like I just put a suit and tie on for the first time. I looked like I was wearing my dad's clothes. And then I wore a suit and tie for 6 months at my job at Burbank Temple Emmanuel. And then one day I thought, I'm going to wear jeans, and I'm going to wear cowboy boots, and I'm going to be myself. Right, and what I lucked into, is that a doorbell or feedback? There we go. What I lucked into was probably one of the most valuable lessons in my life, which is the more John I became, I felt like the more effective rabbi I became. And that is true in any walk of life. Bring your whole self. Don't live somebody else's life. Bring your whole self to your work. And you will do your work better, you will affect more people, and if you learn nothing else, if you don't buy the book, and you don't read anything, and you don't learn anything else, have a couple of drinks, and take that with you. Bring your whole self to what you do, And that's it.
That's why I think I pitched at one point the working title of The Rabbi Wore Cowboy Boots.
Right.
Which I still think would be an amazing title. Maybe for the movie, the miniseries adaptation.
So that's what I tried to do. I tried to say, look, it's not just, here's some rules that I heard about that you might want to try. It's, here's how it worked for me. Like, here's where I was. So if I can connect with one person who's been in that spot and say, I know a way out, that was my goal.
So what do you feel like you had, was it the 7 gifts, I believe is the term?
Right. The idea was I wanted to, it starts with the premise that I have a core set of beliefs that's just sort of my credo, if you will. And that is that everybody everywhere, regardless of your background, has the right and the ability to grow. Maybe they don't want to, but everybody can and everybody gets to. Everybody everywhere desires a life that feels meaningful, right? Like nobody's going around saying, I don't want a meaningful life, forget that. I think everybody could use a little more joy in their life, and I think everybody benefits from human connection. And I felt like there's an app for that, right? There are Jewish technologies, traditions, and wisdom that open that up for people. And so I kind of mined through, okay, what are the things that work for everybody? And I came up with these 7 things that I call them gifts because they're gifts that God gave us that, P.S., we then turned around and gave to the world, right? Things like just the habit of learning and exploring and exercising creativity and free will. Right, the habit of gratitude that sometimes we express in prayer services and benching after meals. I need at least 3 people to hang out here afterwards, by the way. The idea that we can make distinctions, right? We can decide between what's right and what's wrong and what's healthy and what's not. We can bind together in community. That's the 4th thing. We have a technology for, just like this isn't the first Jewish self-improvement book. I think the Torah was the first Jewish self-improvement book.
And that's been on the bestseller list for like
I'm just trying
years.
to try that way.
It's totally put Twilight to shame.
Yeah. So no, but there's this idea that we have anger. Maybe I'm the only one who's ever had anger. Okay. And that's usually rooted in pain. Like Krista Tippett says, anger is what pain looks like when it shows its face in public. And a lot of that pain comes from either regret in ways that we think we could have done better, or a grudge that we carry. And what I call inner work is this process we have for forgiving people and for asking for forgiveness. And then you flip it to outer work, which is the impact that we can have on the world, which, by the way, has a side effect or an effect of giving you a meaningful life. If you engage in work for a cause greater than yourself and you have fun doing it, philosopher Susan Wolf says that is the key to meaningful experience, right? That's what makes life feel good. And then finally, after all that exhausting Torah, we have rest, right? We have Shabbat. We have this thing since the beginning of time that says, make no mistake, you shall work for 6 days. I like to point this out to my students. Every time it says, take a rest, first it says, work for 6 days. Nobody remembers that part. And then it says, take a rest, because God did, and it's good enough for God, and you are a free people. And free people get to take a day off. And it's how you unplug to recharge, right? It's how you actually get more effective in the world by taking yourself out of it and spending some time with people that you love.
One of the gifts that you use, amen, hallelujah. Represent. One of the ones you used that I really thought was interesting was distinction. And I'm just going to read your definition of it. Exercising caution to take in only what serves you and only to share what serves all. Which, having read that chapter, I was kind of like, oh, it's about the ability to say no. Which I think it's kind of a rare thing to read in a book like this, is an entire chapter about the art of not saying yes, about the art of not...
I'll let you call my sister.
The art of...
This is why I'm holding the sale after this, after drinks, and we get people riled up.
And for the crowd at home, there's literally thousands of people here that you just can't see because we're one camera, but it's like thousands. Remarkably large wine store in Burbank, California. But yeah, I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about that gift, the idea of, don't put more things in your basket than you can carry.
Right, and I think for me, I mean, it started off as kind of a chapter about kashrut, and everybody loves to read about kashrut. That is, keeping kosher, extra sets of dishes, don't eat bacon.
No cheesesteaks.
Nothing,
Which obviously I listen to.
nothing makes it more popular than going to a place and being the fun police, right? Which I learned from Scott Russell, because that's what he was usually calling me. No, but it's this idea, and I get this from the name, like I'm losing the name to life, that Rabbi Kushner.
Yeah, sure.
So Rabbi Harold Kushner writes about this, and he says, on the one hand, he's like, when you're able to make distinctions about small things in life, it builds a muscle that you can make distinctions about big things in life, right? If you can take the most mundane activity, as they say in there, like, organisms do two things. They reproduce, and they eat so they live long enough to reproduce, right? And so of those two things, not everybody reproduces, but everybody eats. God willing, everybody gets enough to eat. Everybody eats. So if you can take that one basic organic activity and elevate it and make a distinction between yes and no, that changes you. That like, it builds up this capacity in yourself. Whether it's kashrut or paleo or whatever, then when you are faced with something big to say no to, you already have that strength, right? If you live a life of, I'm going to make decisions about trivial things, and then somebody comes along to me with a business deal that's shady, or I'm buying a car or something and somebody forgets to write a 0 in the contract, you can say, like, oh, maybe you won't notice. Right, but everybody, a lot of people in their life have these clutch moments of making these hard moral decisions. And if you make those distinctions, you're more prepared for those big decisions.
So, amen again. Is there one of these gifts that, if you could go back in time and talk to 20-year-old John Carrier, who was, hanging out in Baltimore, Maryland with the cast of The Wire? Is there a similar lifestyle, I believe? Is there something you would tell John from this book?
Oh, God. I think I was hanging out more with the creative consultants. The cast were too good for me. Gosh. I don't know. I'll tell you. Probably. I'm going to say distinction. It's hard. It's hard to pick.
And why?
I'm going to take that back. Because here's the thing. If I hadn't made so many terrible decisions, I would have had much to write about in this book. But yeah, I mean, I think what is somebody once said, like, good judgment only comes from bad judgment. Like, you have to have bad judgment to have experience to later make good judgment. So I don't have a lot of regrets in my life. I'm going to go with inner work because I think one of the hardest things I've ever had to grapple with is learning how to say I'm sorry and learning how to say I forgive you. And that's just really personal. It's like hard to talk about, but it's like there's a thing in Pirkei Avot, that's a Jewish book. It talks about the different temperaments, right? It's like, and it's like, how long is your fuse and how long is your memory, right? And it said the wicked person is somebody with a short fuse and a long memory. And I hate it when I read that because I'm like, yeah, it's
I think I'm screwed.
That's the thing.
That shouldn't even be next to you.
One of our teachers recently, Abby Pfeiffer-Mandel, said right before the holidays, she's like, I would love if somebody would give the sermon on the high holidays. What we could all be better at is learning how to say I'm sorry and learning how to say I forgive you. And so that's what hits real. And probably I won't tell it now, probably the realest, hardest story of writing there is in that chapter.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I feel like I threw a curveball at you. Oh my gosh! What else can I catch you on?
Can we play a game before I start to cry?
Please.
Okay.
And then the
It's got
tears.
really weird in here for a second. Okay, everybody clap really softly. And you know where this is going. Give it up for Eric Connor. Because the babysitter charges by the hour. I want to tell you, so I told you we're going to play 2 games tonight. One is a clapping game, and you guys crushed it. The second game that we're going to play tonight is a game I like to call "How Much Money Can We Give to Albert?" And here's how you play the game. So tonight I've got some books that are back there that I printed especially for this occasion. So, and I rushed to get here in time. So if you find any mistakes, I'll put a bounty on them for like 1 beer for every mistake that you find, and bring it to me.
No. They'll be more valuable, like the stamp of the airplane upside down.
Yeah.
The fact that God is misspelled in every page. You think it's a book about dogs, actually, but that's great.
Who's this board he keeps saying? So the game is this. So tonight we're going to have an opportunity drawing. And so my good friends and colleagues and teachers back there, Rabbi Rachel Salson and Rabbi Ben Richards, are back there to take money. What's that? Oh, there, Ben's right there. So what's going to happen tonight is there's going to be books. There's approximately 100 copies of this book. And tonight, if you buy 1 book, and the prices are back there, if you buy 1 book, you get 1 ticket. Are you with me so far? Yeah. All right. If you buy 2 books, and as Eric said, like this is a great gift. It will hold down a lot of papers in a strong wind. You can hold at least 2 glasses of wine on top of it. If you buy 2 books, you get free tickets and a little bit of a discount. If you buy 5 books, you get a little bit more of a discount. You get 10 tickets. All right, this is getting interesting. And if you buy, this is what I call the book club special, right? If you buy 5 books to share with your book club, I will call in for the book club when you have the book club meeting. So you can fill all that awkward time when people are like trying not to say that they didn't read the book, right? You can have me call in, and we can make everybody better friends.
He'll call in to book clubs, not about his book. Right. So if you're reading Time Traveler's Wife,
What are you guys doing?
Sean will call in. It'll still help.
That sounds like a fun book. I wish I would have written
It's for the family promise of the Verdugos, man. Help them out.
And so here's the big thing, because we got a lot of local people in here representing a lot of different organizations. If you buy 10 books to give to your organization to sell on eBay, what have you, if you buy 10 books, you get a bigger discount. You get 25 tickets, and I will come speak at any event. I will come speak at your event on a topic of your choice. So if you like the way I talk, I'll talk about the book if you like. But if you want to like stump me, I was like, okay, John, professional wrestling, go. Let me get a show of hands here. Who has Venmo? Who has Venmo? I didn't ask how old you were, but I'm starting to find out. So, who has Venmo? And I say that having just downloaded it. So tonight, the books are on sale for cash, check, or Venmo. If you don't have any of those things, I can make a note, and I have at least one friend in the collection business.
What do you get with the tickets?
What's that?
What do you get with the tickets?
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you asked. You get a pocket full of tickets. Just I wanted to raise the curtain slowly. Grand prize. So here's what's happening tonight. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 prizes tonight, and the prizes are these. So we have 2 bottles that have been graciously donated by Urban Press. So we have
Urban Press.
if my palate isn't eluding me, one is white, and the other one is red. We have Gimel the Camel up here. It's my prize / inside joke.
He's very soft.
We have a $50 gift card to Amazon to buy any book you like.
You know they sell other items on Amazon now. It might have been a while since you've been there.
And when I say gift card, I'm going to email you a thing. So don't be disappointed if you don't want a gift card. So we got 2 bottles of wine. We have a Camel. We have an Amazon gift card, and then 2 more things. One is my next project is to take this book and turn it into an online class. I've already started working on that. So if you want to have more interactive material to work on, if you want to be able to work on it, if you just learn a different way, I'm going to have an online class based on this. Online classes like this range about $150, and you get a ticket to that class on me to be one of the first students in this thing, beta tester. And then the other prize is later this summer, I'm going to have a live seminar based on this that is more like kind of like our Intro to Judaism class. Everybody's taking melting with me, things like that. I want to unpack this book in a class, and I'd like you to be my guest in that class. So we have
7 prizes.
We have right 6 prizes.
You can't do it. You said 7.
Right.
And 6 prizes and a surprise, maybe.
So that's 2 classes, 2 bottles of wine, an Amazon gift card, and a camel. All right?
Walk into a bar.
It does not require anything. So what I want to ask you to do, look, I'm that everybody showed up here tonight, Diane. Right, that everybody showed up here tonight, and you could be my guest for this celebration. This is I'm going to say this is like the 9th biggest night of my life. Okay?
I think your marriage is above that.
Right.
I hope so. I'm pointing to his wife.
There was in order, there was the day that Cara said yes.
Not to you, but
there's the birth of my 4 children tied. I'm going to say, right, there you go, thank you. Are you counting prizes too? Hey, hecklers in my own party. There is my, and I'm going to say there was my first marriage. That was a big day for me. There was a lot of great things came out of that, including me being here tonight. I would not be where I was if I hadn't met her, and they wouldn't have 2 of those kids. And so that was a big day. So I had 2 marriages, 4 kids. The day I got into rabbinical school, and the day Burbank Temple Emmanuel said yes. Yes! And then tonight. That's whatever that is, 8 or 9. So I just want to thank everybody here for being here tonight. That you're here, Diane. Have a couple of glasses of wine and some sandwiches, Diane.
For the Hebrew impaired, that means it would be enough.
It would be enough. I'm practicing the Passover, but what I really want to do is, and I will get down on at least one knee if you ask me to, I really want you to help out Albert because he does incredible work. And for every book that we sell, I'm going to give $10 to Family Promise. There are 100 books back there. I would love it if we could write a check to Family Promise tonight for $1,000. We can accomplish that in this room.
And they deserve it, and they need it.
You can give these books to a library. You can get all sorts of other stuff. You can win fabulous prizes. But the most important thing is the size of the check that I write to Albert tonight, and I need your help with that. So, without further ado, I'm going to direct everybody's attention to first the bar, to get some more wine, and then make decisions about purchasing. So, we have this one. What's that? Okay, yeah. So, first, Eric's going to wrap up here in a second. But so, listen to Eric, and then buy as many books as you can tolerate. We do have a few plastic bags to help people if they're worried about the rain. I mostly bought the plastic bags just to take them out of circulation.
And just the last, we'll do a final large round of applause. And I'm not going to, do the clap once, clap twice. I expect large applause from this man. So one thing I'll say, one of the gifts of the book is community, building stronger relationships and communities to nurture and support you. One of the great things John gave to me, my wife, our 2 kids, is after living in Los Angeles since 1999, I feel like my wife would back me up on this. We really didn't find a community until Temple Emmanuel. And of course the daycare led by that woman right there, but then also, once daycare was finished, our son had graduated from that. We had met John and we realized this is exactly the place we wanted to be. This is exactly the place we wanted our children to be. And it is heartbreaking to be losing him as our rabbi, but the idea that he is out there providing this kind of spiritual guidance and support for really the world, the community at large, means that so many other people will learn from him, which means if that is a reason to let him go, I don't know what else is. So guys, please, an incredibly large round of applause for the author, Rabbi, and all around swell guys. All right, thank you so much for listening, guys. The bar is open. The bookshop is open. Thank you to the community watching us here in the bar.